So listen, I got some cool stuff to tell you, but ultimately anything that I have to say pales in comparison to the value of a relationship that you can make here at this event. I have sold hundreds of millions of dollars of my own products in the last couple of years. And I'm just some random bum off a couch in Brooklyn. I have no more skill than any of you. And I can trace every significant leap forward in my business back to a relationship that I made at a live event. Community is so powerful. It really is shocking. I moved to New York City at 18 to play poker for a living. I started my first e-commerce business about 6 months later. So I've been doing this for 20 years, before the iPhone, before most of the software that exists. And when you look back over a stretch, turns out to build something wonderful, to build something meaningful that serves the world, that makes a difference, takes about 10 years. It's a bit, it's like what happens this year does not matter. What happens next year doesn't matter. What matters is that we're consistently moving in the direction of our goals with a positive attitude over the course of 5 to 10 years. And if you can do that, and you can make relationships along the way, and you can come back to this event every year, it's shocking how successful you will become. And I had you pat yourself on the back because, it's not easy to get away from your family. And anyhow, what I was saying was that it's hard to take the time and space to focus solely on your business. And it's a really wonderful thing when you can do that. And you will see when you remove all of the sort of intensity of your daily life, the cycles, the taking care of the dog and the kids and taking out the trash, and you just put all that energy into your business, you can have a really focused and you can move the ball forward really quickly over the course of a couple days. And that's what I'm here to help you do today. Now, listen, it turns out that gruntled stands on its own. Don't know if you knew that. It's very popular to be disgruntled. But you could also just be gruntled. And I am very gruntled to be here with you today. So make yourself comfortable. This is my dad. Give it up for my dad, ladies and gentlemen. He's right here in the front row. Tell you a little story about my dad at the last event, okay? We get in the car. We take black cars and we stay at like one of the things we enjoy. I like to bring my dad comes with me when I'm on the road and we hang out and we be men together. And we stay at fancy hotels and eat food and have a good time and hang out. And then we come over to these events and I do my speech and stuff. And we got into the vehicle and what I discovered was that, see, I'm wearing a single collar. This is a single collared shirt, okay? I have seen somebody with like a collared shirt with a collared over shirt on top of it. I'd seen that in my day. That you might come across that occasionally in like the hipsters in Brooklyn. That's what I would call double collar, okay? My dad showed up to this event. He didn't have one collar. He didn't have two collars. He had the triple collar, which you haven't seen since 1974 in Alabama. I mean, that shit was crazy, dude. I had to bring him on stage to show off the triple collar. Anyhow, this is him making himself comfortable at the pool. And I'd like you to do that. Now, don't party too hard. This is my brother. He partied a little too hard at the last event. And the Miva attendee, Matt, here is going to tell you, don't do that. A lot of people will use these events as pressure release valves. And, hey, that's cool to an extent, right? You kind of relax a little bit, but just, keep it reined in. I started in e-commerce in 2005. I was America's #1 mullet wig, afro wig, Elvis wig, clown wig, finger wave, fluff wig, 1920s, Louis V wig retailer in America on the internet back in the day. I sold my business in 2012, about $250,000 I sold the business for at that time, and that's how I looked by the time I ended that business. This is my wife and I. It was a really fun business. Funny little story about these cats. Turned out the Jews, the Hasidim, I'm Jewish, they ran the wig market in New York, dude. It was crazy. So like in New York City, over Halloween, it'll pop up these stores called Ricky's. And they got everything under the sun. And there was a couple Jewish dudes in Midtown who ran that shit. They were running all the wigs, and they were selling to everybody. And also in the sort of super parts of the Hasidic religious community, women shave their heads and they wear human hair wigs. So these cats had started in the human hair game for the women within their community, and they moved into the costume wig game. And you'd walk into a hangar in Midtown, and you had this dude, Elliot, and Elliot was like the size of a fridge. And Elliot would always be in this chair, and he had a bag of miniature apple pies right here in this little bag. And you'd come in, he'd be banging down apple pies, little mini ones. You're talking to him about wigs, he's eating apple pies. And you had Moodle in the back. Moodle was kind of like skinny like a squirrel, so they were kind of opposite. And Moodle ran the money. I don't know why I'm telling you about these guys, actually, at all. Anyhow, here we are selling wigs. Elliot and Moodle, we're going to get to some business stuff here, but Elliot and Moodle were cool cats. I shipped all my wigs out of my little apartment. This apartment had like a toilet in the shower, We didn't start with any money. We had no family money. and we figured it out. And so you can too. This is my little shipping station back in the day on Clinton Street and Stanton Street on the Lower East Side. I have over 200, actually more like 300 now, employees across my different brands. And in 2024, my businesses that I own, not the ones that I'm now invested in, but just my businesses did $72 million in total revenue. And I'm not telling you that to brag. I'm just telling you that because, like, in this business, the way that you share that you know what you're talking about is you talk about what you've done. I think as humans, we're all of equivalent value. I don't think I'm any better than any of you. Now, look, in a corporate structure, there's a corporate hierarchy. And we're going to get to team building in a second, because turns out when you're on the top of that corporate hierarchy, people assume that you think you're better than them. And then, by the way, they're afraid of you and they won't tell you anything. So I got a strategy for that. This is my core brand, Boom Beauty. We just crossed 200 million in sales on that one. I bought this brand, Overtone Hair Color. Anybody here dye their hair? I got you. Anybody want blue hair, purple hair? Anybody want to cover any? Yay! You want some overtone, dude? Let me hook you up. Yeah, all right. Let's connect afterward. I also have this company, Smart Marketer. We do education for business owners and masterminds, and we'll run your ads, and we'll do services and that kind of thing. This brand, we actually do over $100 million a year with this. I bought this with my private equity partners. It's called Navage. Any Navage users in the building? Hey, Rick Wilson. All right. Yeah. All of you should try Navage. Navage I'm going to focus on in this case study for today, because it's like I just brought it. It was pretty much a retail brand, and I brought it onto the internet, so we're going to talk about that. Recently rebuilt my sweat lodge, which is kind of fun. And I built this little outdoor Tombow with some outdoor showers. And by the way, if you have never experienced the pleasure and joy and satisfaction and goodness and wonderment of an outdoor shower in the summer, you're missing out, dude. So you might want to try that out this season. This was my house in high school. I lived in the jungle of Hawaii in a tree, and I had to battle these tree rats. It was wild. But listen, like I was saying, like I didn't start from, like we all start wherever we start in life. You know, you don't get to choose that. You may have factors that are working against you, like economic factors, ethnic factors of where you fit into the society and how society treats your group of people. Like there's all kinds of shit going on. But the good news is, pretty much in the West, you get to decide where you put your attention. You get to choose, what you put your attention on, which means there's a lot of agency in that and a lot of power in that, and you can climb out of whatever sort of, if you started behind the curve, you can get your way out of that. And so I want to start with like taking inventory of what your goals are. And then, because look, you're here to make money, dude. You're here to you don't want to hear me talk about lifestyle and relationships and mindset. However, I'm going to do it anyways, because I feel like we got to cover some of that shit before we can get into tactics and strategies that are going to help your business grow, because ultimately, we want to create systems and processes and goals, systems and processes and routines that are going to help you achieve your goals, but you are not separate from your goals. And the way that you think and the way that you act will dictate how well you're able to navigate your life and your business. And so, look, you are at the center of your world. Everything that you have starts from you. Your relationships that filter out into your friends and community and your social life and your reputation, your purpose, like what you're doing, why you're doing it. You get to decide that. How much fun that you have, the contribution you make to society, your hobbies, your work, your capabilities, the things you're afraid of, how you navigate the inevitable intensity that will come your way in life, tragedy and trauma and darkness and all that shit. How you ride that wave, that's up to you. How you deal with your family, the things that you take responsibility for, your diet, your health, you're at the center of it. And it helps to understand, what is your core motivating factor? What are you doing in the world? And for me, my goal, what I'm doing, the most important thing to me in the world is to have the world's greatest love affair. That's what I'm up to in life. If people think I'm a business guy, it's like, sure, the business is in support of this. I put more attention and energy into this than my businesses. On my gravestone, it will say, had the world's greatest love affair. That is what I want. That is what is important to me. That's what it's all about. And that's my highest priority. And so everything has to then stem from that. The decisions that I'm making, you only have so much time to work. How is that affecting the rest of these things in your life? Because it turns out there's this Parkinson's law. It says that work will fill the time that you give it. So if you do not set boundaries and container around your work life, it will permeate your whole existence, because we're cyborgs. We're connected to these devices at all times. It's so easy to pick it up and think about it. And it's like, no, you got to shut it down. If you take time and energy and effort into having hobbies, a social life, taking care of your body, having fun, you'll do better in business. Working longer, it turns out, look, I did it too when I first started, when I was younger. It's like you just grind because that's what you think you have to do, but it turns out that's not sustainable. You can't do that. You have got to set limits on your work life. So, okay, enough of that shit. What are we actually doing here in business? Well, you might say we are optimizing our businesses so that they perform better and generate more profit. And that is one level of real. Yes, that's what we're doing. But there's a level deeper than that. Because look, I'm trying to make money too. I'm into wealth creation. I got 60 hippies to support. All right? I grew up on a commune. These people don't, got healthcare and shit. So I am interested in wealth creation. So how are we going to make some money around here? If the goal is wealth creation, if we're subscribing to the idea that the whole point of all this is we want to generate some wealth, I think the game is resource generation. And then using the resources that we generate towards causes that we find noble. First is take care of yourself. If you can only pour from a full cup, if you're all emotionally drained and energetically depleted, and what good are you to anyone? You're not. You got to take care of yourself first. That's actually the most loving thing you can do. Number 2, it's your family, right? Your immediate family. Number 3, it's your community. So the concentric circle around your family, and then it's the world at large. What is meaningful to you in the world? For me, it's like protecting waters and lands, and I've got the things that I'm interested in contributing to. Neonatal intensive care unit, babies and families. I had a baby in the NICU. I'll talk about her later, but it's like, the issue is cash flow ain't going to generate wealth for you. Sorry, that's not how it works. Cash flow is a wonderful thing. You got a job. You're making money from it. Good. Happy for you. It's not going to generate wealth. Wealth is generated. And, your business generates cash flow. You take money out of it every month, every year. It's not going to generate wealth. Wealth comes from asset liquidation. That is how you generate wealth. As somebody who, didn't grow up with money, made every mistake you could make, didn't pay the IRS, did all the crazy shit you could possibly do with money. Luckily, when I didn't have much of it, because the mistakes are much costlier when you're bigger. Turns out, the way that you generate wealth is you liquidate assets. So you look at the baby boomers. My parents are immigrants and hippies, so they didn't quite do this, but what's up, Dad? I'm proud of what you did, too. However, that generation, what they did was they took the money from their 401ks, and they took the money from their jobs. They invested it in real estate. That was their asset. That real estate increased in value over time. Then they sold that asset. And that is where their wealth came from as a generation. Our wealth comes from businesses. So what I want for you is to have the most valuable asset possible. And the things I'm going to share with you today are in the direction of how do we make our assets more valuable so that we can one day sell them. Because 80% of the money that you will ever make in business will come the day you sell your business. I sold a business for $54 million-ish about 4 years ago. And I'd been pulling about $1 million a year in profit out of that. But it's worth way more if you can put money back into it, let it grow, and then sell it. You could take the money from your jobs, invest it into assets, build a business, buy something that will appreciate in value over time. Ideally, an asset that you have direct operational input in to help improve the value. Real estate's wonderful, but with the mortgage rates at what they are, and you have you can't do anything to make that real estate more valuable. Okay, if you're handy, how many of us know how to fucking replace a shower? I don't. I'm going to have to hire somebody to do some shit. So it's like, we want stuff that we can buy or buy into and then improve. And so for us, that's businesses. So let's talk about the quick wins. If I had to say, what do I think you should do in 2024 and 2025? Now, I understand the audience that I'm talking to, which is multi-SKU merchants who are mostly based on search traffic. You've got hundreds of thousands of SKUs, and you're relying on Google Shopping and Google Search and Amazon and search engine optimization. And everything I'm telling you is not going to be about that. And there's a reason for that, because I want to show you a different kind of marketing that you can leverage. So I have deliberately created a presentation that is different from most of your business models, because I want to show you the other side of the curtain here a little bit, and some things that you can do in the business that you do have today, and also in any future business that you have. So this is Navage. Like I said, we do about $100 million a year, a little bit more. And I want to give you some quick wins that I did for this brand when we took it on the internet. The first is use case and avatar-based ads and advertorials, pre-sell articles. So this is who and why marketing, followed by what and benefit marketing. Who is the person? Why are they interested? What is the thing? What is the benefit to them? If you remember one thing from this presentation, remember this term, ownership benefit. The only thing any one of your marketing assets has to do is demonstrate the ownership benefit of the product. And if you can do that, and you can silo that to the different avatars who may be interested, your marketing will be far superior to every one of your competitors. And it turns out doing good marketing is very important. even on your product pages. If you just optimized your product pages to clarify what the ownership benefit to the person is, you make more money. The key here is that you have more than one destination, more than one landing page. Now, a lot of people send their traffic to their homepage and their product pages. We've got a bunch of these things. I'm going to show you examples of this. Like, for example, this one here on the right. This is like an influencer who wrote an article about why our stuff is good, and then we send the traffic to that page. That's called an advertorial. And you can also publish those on your website. So here's another example of our product detail page. We send a lot of traffic there. I wanted to give you some examples of this to have you understand the type of thinking. So for example, Navage is a nasal irrigator. It cleans out your nose. Did you know that 100 years ago, just 100 short years ago, like your grandparents may have been alive, brush their teeth? They didn't. It wasn't a thing. You just had a funky-ass mouth, and that was life. And it was, no big deal. That was just how you lived. And you know what? The thing about humans is we're very adaptable. You just stop smelling the funk after a while, but it was there. And so then oral hygiene came along, and people started cleaning their teeth, and then as society was happier. And we've kept up this tradition of cleaning our mouths. Well, our viewpoint is that nose health is what oral health was 100 years ago. People currently do not clean their noses and don't understand the benefits of what that can do for you. And, the pandemic that came through really opened a lot of people's eyes to how can we strengthen our immunity to viruses and colds and things like that. And one of the things you can do is keep your nose clean. Turns out it really works. There's all kinds of science and data and fun stuff that backs this up. So that's one angle. Hey, you could keep yourself safer and healthier by cleaning out your nose. You know what? Turns out not everybody cares about it. It's like, that will work to a certain amount of people, and it was enough for me. I was like, man, I don't want to get sick. I'll clean my nose. Sure, why not? However, what about this lady here and this dude here that they do yard work? They're working on their lawns. They're working on their yards. They come back. They're sneezing and coughing. I got a video like, hey, I do my yard work. This is my routine. I then come back and clean out my nose, and I don't get itchy, and I don't have the same allergies, and it really helps me. So it's like, here's a person who has a particular experience that could benefit from my product, and I'm demonstrating who this person is, what they're up to in life, and why they're interested in my product, and what the benefits are of it. Another example. This one's great for pretty much all brands because turns out it's a popular thing to complain about your partner. Like, sometimes your partner's annoying, man. Especially if you give a lady a way to talk about how her guy is not sort of living up to her standards for him. She'll tell you. And this is wonderful because in this case, it's like my boyfriend is gross. He snores. He has allergies. This thing really helped him. But my partner is X, and this thing helped them is a great model for a video. This is one of my favorite ones because basically everyone here is familiar with the influencer sort of product demonstration. Like, hey, check out this product. This is what it did for me. This one's the same thing except for I love this thing and my friend has never tried it. I'm going to video them trying it. So you basically get this little surprise element of this person has never tried this thing and they're being encouraged to, and it's being documented by someone who has. So I wanted to give you examples of things that you could also use. Stop doing this, start doing this. Hey, stop getting ready for cold and flu season this way and start using Navage. This one's only relevant to us, but it's like firefighters come in contact with a bunch of nasty stuff. Here's some firefighters using Navage, cleaning their nose out. That's an avatar I want to go after. I want this thing at every firehouse in America. That's a little niche that there's actually quite, if you were able to penetrate even 10% of that market, you make some good money. You get some good sales. City living. How many people live in cities? I lived in New York City for 10 years, didn't know that it was nasty. I just was like, you just live there and it was good. And it was nice. Then you leave and you come back and you're like, did I ever live in this place? Because it is so gross. But you don't know when you're in the mix. You're just in the mix. You're one of the rats. You're doing it. And then you come back and you're like, damn, it kind of stinks. And it's really gross. And it's like you sort of have been now living in the country and you realize, yeah. So anyhow, cities are gross and I can use that to my benefit. Person of authority. This is good for everybody. Turns out people just want to be told what to do by somebody who has some authority in any space. Stick someone in a lab coat. Find somebody who is a car mechanic. If you're a car business, like person of authority is fantastic. Talking about the ownership benefit of the product. We use retail as an authority. We're in a lot of retail outlets for a bunch of our businesses. Overtones in Sally's, CVS, Target, Navage is in Sam Club, Walmart, Costco, etc. So we can use that. Like, hey, check us out. We're in these retail stores. Go buy us. Buy us online. Singers, actors, podcasters, people who need to have clear voices, self-care and beauty routines. You're kind of getting the point. is basically what you want is, it used to be you could have one video and one landing page. Hey, we are pro-age makeup for women over 50. Check us out. But then what happened was social media advertising got harder because Apple, who owns the devices that you use, decided Facebook's making trillions of dollars in paid advertising, Google's making trillions of dollars in paid advertising, and the way that they're doing this is by tracking people after they leave Google and Facebook and seeing all the user behavior and where they shop and what they look for, and then using that data to serve them relevant ads. We could disrupt this market by denying their ability to see anything that happens after they leave Facebook or Google, and we could take that data and use it for ourselves. So we will run this whole marketing campaign under the guise of consumer privacy, opt out of tracking. Meanwhile, Apple's tracking, and they're building their own ad network, and very shortly we're going to have Apple ads, which will do the same thing Google and Facebook were doing, but Apple will get the money and not Google and Facebook. So this happened about 2 years ago. It's called iOS 14.5 update, and what it did was it made advertising what I call multi-data point contextual targeting. So when I started in the game, the only way you could target somebody was search marketing. Someone had to type in a query, and then you could serve an ad to somebody who had that query. Then came out single data point contextual targeting, and that was on Google. And single data point contextual targeting was someone's on a website about cats, you could show them an ad about cats. And that shit worked pretty damn good. Then Facebook invented multi-data point contextual targeting, where you had age, you had gender, you had interest, you had all this kind of stuff. Multi-data point contextual targeting still exists, but they have less data points, so it's harder. And the way in which you figure out, the way in which you give them information as to who are the right people is you figure out yourself who are your customer avatars. Who are the people who buy from you and why do they do it? Because it turns out what your business is actually doing is not selling products. Yeah, you're selling a product. Okay, at the end of the day, that's how you make your money. But what you're doing is you're communicating with a group of people who are sharing a collective experience. So you've got dads who live in the suburbs, who have 2 kids or 3 kids, who have their own cars and want to replace the wheels and brakes and stuff themselves. They don't want to take it. They were trying to save money. You know, the value of the dollar went down. That's an avatar. That's a group of people who are sharing a collective experience, and the result of that collective experience is they've got problems that your products can solve. And what you want to do is figure out who are these people, what experience are they having, and what problems do my products solve for them. And if you could even have 3 of those that you're speaking to on your product pages, even if you're all search marketing, if you understand who these people are, and why they're interested in the first place, and what your thing does and how it solves their problem, you will sell more than the next search marketing person, because your sales copy will speak to them in a way that, hey, I've got this, wheel from 1967. It's like, you got to do more than that. Okay, on the same subject, another wonderful strategy that we're using in 2025 is us versus them. Now, I am not interested in inviting conflict into my world, and so I shied away from fear-based advertising tactics and basically saying that I'm better than someone else on the market advertising tactics. I kind of didn't want to do that. I wanted to do seduction-based marketing. I wanted to have people so interested in my stuff, so compelled by my products that they wanted to buy from me. But then I bought this brand, Navage, really big brand, and what I realized was that there was a player in the market that was a Q-tip, it was a Band-Aid, it was a Vaseline, it was a type of product that was a brand, but that was also ubiquitous, synonymous for the overall category, right? When you buy a Band-Aid from Target, that's Target brand, you still call it a Band-Aid. Us versus them marketing, all right? So it turns out this is so effective. And I decided to do it because I thought, hey, Neti Pot is synonymous with the category, so why not? Everyone knows about Neti Pot. They don't know about me, but they're starting to know about me because I'm the second biggest brand in the category. Here's why I'm better than Neti Pot. So I started doing this, it was working really well, and then some bum-ass Chinese knockoff did the same shit to me. And I was like, damn, what goes around comes around. Karma is real. You got to watch out. So us versus them ads, and I'm going to show you a bunch of them, specifically for remarketing on the Google Display Network, for remarketing on Facebook and Instagram, for remarketing anywhere you can serve an image ad. Us versus them. And the them can be anybody. Athletic Greens, the up-and-comers against Athletic Greens, these guys Groons are coming after them with us versus them. I have a little 7-month-old baby boy, and we buy Coterie diapers. I get these ads from Coterie. And Coterie is one of our customers. They follow Smart Marketer blog. And this is such a fantastic ad because it's like us versus them, and then it goes to a landing page by a mom being like, yo, I tried both of these, Coteries better, go get them. So this is a perfect example in the wild of who and why, then what and benefit. So it's sort of an example in the wild. I also buy from Paca's. They do thin wool socks. If you're in the Northeast and it gets cold, you want wool socks. And so they have a us versus them for these knockoff competitors. Us versus them is very similar to before and after. It's just a compliant way to do before and after. Before and after, you'll run into some compliance issues. I use before and after also in a lot of my brands. Here I've got us versus them, my pillow brand, us versus them, and a soap brand. Before and after, this is one of my clients in Smart Marketer, but it's a similar concept, us versus them and before and after. But you should be looking for, on your product detail pages, where can you include us versus them? If you add, so it turns out 50% of people on your product detail page will never see below the buy box. The buy box is the carousel, the content above the button, and then the content below the button. So 50% of your traffic is focused on the buy box. So in that buy box, a couple things you want. Number one, in your carousel, you want two types of images. Images that are like on white or on a colored background, and then images where the product is being used in its intended environment. 90% of the brands that I look at, you've got an 80-20 on your store. If you've got 1 million SKUs, 20% of those SKUs are driving most of the revenue. Modify the carousels on those 20%. Add in-context lifestyle images to those carousels. Add a sales video to the end of that carousel. The sales video could literally be, hey, our brand is wonderful for these things and we give free shipping. It doesn't have to be fancy. It could be a general branded sales video. Add that to your carousel. Then, at the top of your buy box, above the product name or right below it, put a customer testimonial. 5 stars, Betty from North Carolina, I bought from this brand, they treated me well. Boom. Now you have social proof. So you have in-context images, you've got a video, you've got social proof, and then under the add to cart button, 2 things. Unique selling propositions in image format, fast shipping, made in America, satisfaction guarantee, images, seals, and then in text, 100% money back guarantee. If you do those 5 things, your add to cart ratio will go up about 10% and your conversion rate will raise about 1%. You will make significantly more money just optimizing the buy box. Now, the other 50% of your traffic will peruse the page and will consume the entire sales page, where you've got your product details and your accordions and all that shit. Add an us versus them section. General. Competitors and all the reasons they're bad, and you. Could be a general us versus them to your PDP. Watch what happens to your conversion rate. So us versus them. Very important, and that's how you would apply it to a multi-SKU retailer. Top of funnel traffic. So in 2014, I came out with a course. I created a course called Facebook Video Ads Mastery, and I pioneered this concept of awareness, retargeting, and loyalty for social advertising. Now, this existed in magazine and TV. I didn't invent it. I just brought it to the internet. And it turns out awareness, so just at a high level, awareness, people don't know about you. Retargeting, they know about you, but they haven't bought. Loyalty, they already bought. So those are the 3 kind of like groupings of people who we're talking to. If awareness isn't full, if the top of the bucket isn't full, you're screwed. It's the most important one. And my viewpoint, even if you're a multi-SKU retailer based on search marketing, is that some percentage of your budget, maybe 2%, 3%, in my case 10 to 20%, should be on paid influencer marketing. What is paid influencer marketing? Or customer ambassador marketing, both of these. Customer ambassador marketing is incentivizing your customers to give you videos that tell you that you're wonderful. Hey, I bought from this brand, the products were amazing, I loved it, I'm Betty from North Carolina, and it's all shot on an iPhone, it's not professional, it's just like a customer. Influencer marketing is a professional creator. Hey, I'm Mike, I got an auto shop, I bought this thing from them, it was amazing. These videos, you'll use them in your emails, you'll use them on your product detail pages, and if you do any video advertising, you use them in your advertising. They are, and then, you guys probably aren't going to have social shops where you're selling on Facebook, selling on TikTok, selling on Instagram because you have so many SKUs, but you can also use them on your social shops. So those videos will give you a kind of social proof that the other multi-SKU retailers will not have. And even just having a few of them, what we've started to do is on our product detail pages, right below the add to cart button, we'll have the little, anyone here on Instagram? Please follow me on Instagram. I'm kind of fun on there. On Instagram, if you're on Instagram, keep your hand up for me. Thank you. So about half the room. So on Instagram, they have these things called stories, and there's circles at the top of your Instagram screen. And when you tap on one of those circles, it pops up a little video, and it's whatever your friends or the people that you're following are doing and talking about. We put those little circles under our add to cart button. You can tap them, and it will pop up a video being like, yo, this brand is dope, here's the things they're good at. So you can kind of like copy, everyone knows what an Instagram story is, and they're interested with that in that little sort of user interface of the circles. So if you can get 3 or 4 of these videos, you can add them to your product pages. It could be the same for every product. Another element, another conversion asset that you can add to your sales mix to increase your conversion rate. Look, if you can get a 1% increase in your conversion rate, it's so meaningful. It's shocking how much extra revenue it will. It means with the same amount of traffic, you're making far more money. So, product launches. Next thing, next little win. Product launches just work. And what I want you to focus on this year is basket builders. Nobody focuses on basket builders and subscription. We'll talk about subscription in a second. Basket builders are everything. I'm going to talk to you about basket builders in a second. What we do is we survey our customers, and then we launch the products that they want from us. A little bit less, we send those out to ambassadors. We get videos ahead of time so that when we launch the product, there's videos on our landing page. We do like an early bird, build up anticipation. Hey, are you interested in this? Sign up for the early bird list. Anticipation. So I talked about ownership benefit, right? There's 3 other things. There's 3 things that you should understand as a marketer. Ownership benefit, anticipation. Anticipation. There's a reason why every movie has a trailer a year out. There's a reason why Apple does a product launch 6 months before they launch a product. Because as human beings, you have 3 times in which you can enjoy something. You can enjoy something before you get it, while you're having it or doing it, and after it's happened. Those are the 3 stages that you have. And if you as a human invested more in really relishing every phase of that, you would have a more rich life. You could look forward to things and think about them and talk about the experience with your friends. You could then have the experience and enjoy it and be present in it and have fun and document it. And then afterward, you could reminisce about it and talk about how fun it was. Like, you could ante up more enjoyment of each of those stages, and you could create that enjoyment for your customers. Anticipation is the most compelling thing in marketing. Looking forward to something is actually better than getting it for a lot of people. A lot of people like to, I want this thing, I want to chase, I'm going to get this new car, and it's on my wall, and I'm working hard for it for a year, and then it's like, I have this thing. I want the next car. You know, it's like the anticipation is actually the more enjoyable part for a lot of people. So we build that anticipation up. The more products you have, which you don't have this issue, the better your merchandising. And merchandising is really what wins. You know, not just, hey, there's 15% off this category, but free gifts with purchase, single item promos, bundles, subscribe and save, discount thresholds, buy more, save more, etc. The other thing that we'll do is anytime we run a sale, we'll extend it by a day. Hey, the sale's over. Go get it now. It's like, hey, we had a bunch of emails. We're extending it by 1 day. It works really well. So the better your merchandising, the better that you will do. You got 3 ways to grow your business. And this is everything I'm focused on here today in this presentation is focused on these 3 things. Number 1, more new people knowing that you exist and buying your stuff. That's one way we can grow. We can get more new customers. Number 2, we can get them to spend more with us while they're shopping. And I'm going to talk to you about this with basket builders in a second. Number 3, we can get them to buy more frequently. That's retention. Those are the only 3 levers we have to pull. And by the way, look, I didn't make it out of high school. I never went to college. I have to simplify shit and just do things simply so that I can actually do them. And it turns out the simple stuff is what wins, the basics, the fundamentals. I'm a competitor in jiu-jitsu and judo. And you look at the Olympic Games, the best people in the world. It's the things you learned on day 25 in judo that's winning the Olympic at the highest level. It's the simplest stuff. So simple is good. And you don't need massive wins. If you can get 30% in each of these categories, you'll have a doubling of your business. Basket builders. What's a basket builder? A basket builder is a product. A basket builder is an item that is easy to manufacture, that is cheap to create, that is relevant to all of your store. Now, when I bought this company, Navage, this thing already existed. It's a countertop caddy. Now, I didn't understand it because I was like, well, you could also just set the Navage on the counter. Do you need a plastic to elevate the Navage on your countertop? Like, I don't think so. I set mine down on the counter and it's fine. It doesn't seem to do anything, but people love this thing. Let me elevate it up. It's like, I don't know. Anyhow, this thing's, dude, it was selling for $17. And I was like, well, people like it. I'm not interested in adding more virgin resin plastic to the world. Like, I actually have an initiative in my other companies to use post-consumer resin and more sustainable materials. So I'm maybe thinking about doing that for this, but it's like, I can't remove it from the business. It exists. It's a thing. We're doing it. So anyhow, this thing works, man. I sell the shit out of these things. And it's a high profit margin item. Same thing with this. This one's more relevant. It's like clean your thing out because it's funk nasty with like mucus. So that's a, this one's a good one. $8. I buy it for like $1. And I offer that to people on my shopping cart. Then you bundle your basket builders together. Hey, you're going to dye your hair. You need a little bowl. You need a comb. You need this and that. and you put a little bundle of basket builders as your pre-purchase upsell. Miva has a pre-purchase upsell application that integrates right with it, and you can do basket building, cross-selling in the shopping cart with bundles and other basket builders and just get more profit and more revenue by offering relevant items to everyone's order. We'll also do this thing. I'm not sure if the one that's built into Miva, if they don't have it, they will after this presentation. It says, hey, take this item that's in your shopping cart and replace it with a bundle that also includes it. So you still get the item, but then you get a bundle of other items along with it, and you get a discount. This works extremely well. Hey, this is going to replace this product with this bundle. Deep autoresponder testing, abandoned cart, post-purchase, win back. All your automated email flows, you got to test them. People do these things and they never look at them again. You got to look at them. Hey, where are people dropping off? Look, when you grow up without money and you're bootstrapping your business, you have to continually make everything better that you can. There's no work that is above you. So we continually test these things and we continually get better results with them. We don't just leave them alone. We look at where are people not engaging? Where are they not clicking their emails? And we'll add them. This one's kind of fun. When we got about a 60-year-old average consumer, 65, and these ladies like to chat, dude. They want to talk to you. So we get a lot of phone calls, and we're chatting with Betty and stuff. And so what we started to do was I had to limit it. I was like, dude, if it's 6 minutes, you got to end this thing. We can't be talking forever. We get a little bit of time, but 6 minutes seems like that's plenty of time to handle whatever the issue is. We have this thing that says, hey, right now we got a discount on this product, 13% off. Ask the person that you're going to speak to today about it, and then wait 10 seconds. We're going to put you on with somebody. So it plays this little message, and it's now we're selling these things. This is for my customer support team. Hey, I get questions about it all the time. I used it a few times yesterday. It's another place to optimize. Everywhere you can optimize, you should be. Wait messages are a wonderful place. Product pages and sales videos. This is another, I was talking to you about the product pages. People do their product pages, and they never look at them again. It's dude, I just gave you 9 things you could do to make your product pages better and make more money. Same with your sales video. You shouldn't just do a sales video for your brand once. You should do it once every couple months and test it against the other one so you can keep making those better. These are pre-sale engagement articles, advertorials. I wanted to show you some examples. This is a big part of our marketing. You don't just use these in ads. Use them in your email autoresponders. Use them when you email your list. So you're not just saying, hey, go buy our stuff. You're like, hey, here's an article from James about why transmissions are amazing, and these are the ones we have. You can do content marketing. The thing about traditional content marketing, which is basically talking to the people about the different avatars about their collective experience and relating it back to your products, is you have to pair it with merchandising. You have to run sales. Every 6 weeks, you have to be running a sale, a contest. We write a lot of articles, but we also run promotions. We do a promotion every 4 to 6 weeks. Now, some people do a lot more than that. Some people do a lot less than that, but you have to be promoting. You have to be offering discounts. So I told you, ownership, benefit, anticipation. The other 2, incentive and deadline. Those are the 4 things that make people buy. I mean, anticipation is sort of a nice to have, not a need to have. Ownership, benefits, a need to have. Incentive, why buy today? Is there a discount? Is this thing going out of stock? Is there a reason? And then, is there a deadline on that incentive? In today's world, where the average adult gets 352 emails a day, you need incentive and you need deadline. So you can use that to your benefit. If you are going to go ahead and sort of do more of this, having a voice and a presence and not being a faceless brand, it's good to understand what you're doing and why you're doing it. So what are the intentions of your brand? And for us at Boom, it's we want to share the idea that aging isn't bad. That we want to have a discussion on beauty and what it means. We want to reclaim cosmetics as a venue for fun rather than covering up. We want to talk about the shared experiences that women over 50 and 60 are having. Silver hair, menopause, dating after divorce, things like that. We want to share tips on self-care and skincare. We want to talk about less is more with cosmetics. We want to build affinity with Cindy. She passed away, but she was our influencer, and we still use her. So we want to create a platform for women to share their stories. And so to that end, we have different types of content we use. Cindy on Life, interviews with members and influencers of the community, product-focused videos, Women of the Pro-Age Revolution, which is documenting a bunch of women's journeys of aging and how that feels to them, articles about the experiences they're going through, listicles, hey, 5 tips for women over 50, et cetera, lists, going live with influencers. So our content is related specifically to the intentions of the brand. At Smart Marketer, I want to inspire e-commerce business owners, give a window into my life, share what's working for me in business and life, give out easy and practically implementable, usable tips and strategies, showcase other influencers in the community, relate my business back to life experiences, offer alternative viewpoints on common sort of hustle, grind, sacrifice business culture, take a stand against the mainstream bullshit that you're sold in business, inspire people to focus on their health and success and relationships and how to use business as a tool for that. Talk about money, entertain people, build affinity with my personal brand, Ezra Firestone, and serve the world unselfishly and profit. So that's what I'm trying to do with Smart Marketer. And to that end, we've got me talking about life. life. We've got interviews with other industry experts. We've got behind the scenes. We've got buying stuff and breaking it down. We've got a podcast where other people on my team are sharing examples of what's working for us. We've got other influencers. So we've got a bunch of ways in which we're doing that. But the point is we're focused on a group of people and what they're going through. A couple quick little video formulas for you if you want to do a general sales video that you can put on all your pages. I'm getting X value from this particular brand. This is what it is and what it does. Here's why it's good and why it's unique. Here's how it works. Here are the main objections you might have in this category. And here are the unique selling propositions. Go buy it. So this is the formula. The next thing that you do is you take the most compelling moment of the video and you stick it at the front. Here's a much simpler one. Product name, social proof statement, ownership benefit statement, value claim. What is a value claim? You claiming your own value. I did it earlier. I said I was the one who pioneered this type of Facebook advertising on the internet. I claimed my own value. Nobody's going to do it for you. Social proof statement, call to action. Push your bundles. You're going to sell a lot more product if you bundle them together. Value creation plans. Every 90 days, you have a high-level plan for how you're moving the business forward. And that plan looks like this. What is the initiative? Number one. How much value do we think it's going to add to the business? How long do we think it's going to take? How much is it going to cost? How likely are we to be successful with it? Those are the 5 things. You come up with 6 or 8 things every quarter. You rank them based on that tree, and then you get after them. And every 90 days, if you're doing a strategic value creation plan, it's kind of like a board meeting for your brand. You'll move forward in a better way than if you didn't do this. And you can see it works really well. Value creation plans. You got to build in time to do nothing, time to wander, time to think, time to contemplate. It's easy to work. It's harder to, Jeff Bezos has this whole concept on wandering. He just wanders around half of his week just thinking. So it's like your best ideas will come in stillness, whatever that looks like for you. And this means no computer, no book, just time to sit and think, because that is where you will be able to you get clarity. My wife likes these meditation retreats where she goes and bees alone for 12 days in the forest and eats like slop, and it's like, that sounds terrible to me. Like if my idea of a party is not being by myself eating slop and with no stimulation in a jungle, like no thank you. However, I was like, man, she's getting a lot out of this. Maybe I will try this to just see so I can better understand her experience, not because I think it's going to be any fun. And I did it, and it was kind of miserable. But I will say, there was a place of creation available that I got to that I have never been to before and could only get that way. Because you remove the stimulation. You have no input. And after a couple days, all the fog clears, and you can think clearly in a way like inspiration and creation comes to you in this really wonderful way. I get it. I don't want to do the work to get to that spot very often. She likes to do it. It's like, maybe once every couple years. It's like a valuable experience. But yeah, it works really well. And the other thing is like people are so focused on what they put into their body. Everyone's talking about diet, but it's like, what about what you put into your mind? You open up Instagram, people are falling out of buildings, people are getting shot. Turns out the internet has figured out that, because whoever has your attention wins capitalism. If Facebook has your attention, they win. If Google has your attention, they win. If the news has your attention, they win. The way that people make money is by capturing your attention. And what turns out they figured out is that if they piss you off or if they scare the shit out of you, that's how they'll get your attention. Those are the two main these algorithms are doing to you online, is they're getting you pissed off at your neighbor or at whoever else in the world, and so that you'll stay tuned in. And that's like some level of fun sometimes. But what if you were more deliberate about what you let into your mind? What if you were as deliberate about what you let into your mind as what you put into your body? You would think much clearer. You would be much happier. You would have control and ownership of your mental space, which is like what you think determines how you act, and how you act results in what you get. It is the most important thing, protecting what goes in and what you allow. Like, you get to choose. Now, like, there's some level of like the shit that's going on in the world, you got to be some level of hip to, but if it's important enough to you, you don't got to go check in. So be more deliberate about what you consume. You go to my Instagram, it's like bonsai trees and jujitsu, and weightlifting and like stuff that I'm interested in. I have one thread on Instagram with two guys who are my buddies. I know when I open that thread, it's going to be chaos. And I prepare myself for the crazy shit that I'm going to be consuming, and it's deliberate. Turns out gratitude and generosity are really good predictors of happiness and success, and how it feels every day in your life is everything. If you're constantly putting off pleasure because you have to work, work is going to fill the time that you give it, and you've got to now is the time to live the life of your dreams. Now. You got to do it now, because you don't know how long you have. My business partner suddenly died. My daughter passed away at 19 months old about a year and a half ago. It's like you don't know what's coming your way. And so if you are not enjoying your life, you miss the whole point of this game. So do what it takes to enjoy your life now. For me, it was like when we grew up, I would watch MTV Cribs, and they would open their fridge, and there'd be beverages, man. They had all these beverages and Lunchables and shit. I was like, man, when I make some money, I'm going to have some beverages. Open my fridge right now. I got beverages. I got kombucha. I got sparkling waters. I got coconut waters. I got all kinds of, I open my fridge, and every time I open my fridge, I am gratified. I have made it. I don't like the Lunchables anymore, but the beverages. So it's like, it doesn't have to be big things. It could be little stuff, like beverages. And by the way, I think if more people embraced you could have a beverage up to 3 times, 4 times a day. You could have a warm beverage in the morning, a warm milky beverage. You could have a sparkling, delightful, cold beverage in the afternoon. You could have any amount of beverages. Hopefully they don't destroy your kidneys and they're not all full of sugar and bullshit like that and caffeine and whatever. But you could have like nice, good for you beverages. If more of us embraced beverages, we'd have a happier society, because there's a lot of pleasure and satisfaction to be gotten from a beverage, and because you're not paying attention to your beverage when you're drinking it. You're just gulping it down. Some people. Consistency, it turns out, is what wins this game. Not skill. You got to be some level of skill, but if you're hanging around with Miva, you got the skill around you. Not, hard and fast, but just like showing up every day with a positive attitude and doing what you can do in the direction of your goals and asking for help when you need it. That is what works. That is why I'm here. I just stayed around. I didn't quit before the miracle. Tons of people burnt out. I didn't. And so here I am, It's not about how much you make. It's about what you keep. Not about how big your business gets. Yeah, it's not about how big it gets, right? It's actually nice to have a smaller business that's more profitable, that's less intense. I think the perfect business is probably like $10 million. 5 to 10 million, 20% profit margin. Do you really need more money than that? Don't. I mean, look, if maybe you got 60 hippies. I need about 100 million after taxes, liquid. I'm getting there. But I have larger things I'm trying to do. But like just to live your life and to be able to afford food and entertainment and take care of your family and invest in your community, it's like you don't need a giant business. Scale is not all it's cracked up to be. It's fun sometimes, but it's like a nice little profitable business is a wonderful thing. You get out of your business what you put into it. The question is not what you can take out. It's what can you invest in the business. That's the question. Who can you get to help you? How can you invest more? Let the snowball grow big before you pull from it. Don't take out. Put it back in. Let it get big. Like invest. What can you invest is the right question. Who can you get to help you? How can you do more? And how can you have a good time while you're doing it? Make something wonderful that serves the world and be profitable. In that order. Number 1, have fun, because that's really what it's about. Number 2, make something good and continually make it better. And number 3, be profitable. And, people say leave the place better than you found it. I believe in leaving the people better than you found them, which is what I tried to do for you here today. This is my friend Craig Hilly. I gave him a hamburger because I thought that would he looked like he needed one in this photo, so I thought that would leave him a little better than I found him here. If you're interested in reading the story of my daughter, she lived a really beautiful life. But check it out, loverunnethover.com. This is my new little dude. He's a sweet little guy. And yeah, thanks for watching. You can hit me up on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. You can email me. You can DM me for the slides. DM me if you're interested in services or educational mastermind. And I'll be around to chat. So I really appreciate your time and hope you enjoyed it. Thank you.